Dajiahao, good evening everyone. Today for my final project, I will present to you the story of Ai Weiwei. You will learn of his struggles with the Chinese government and how he pushed through them. Let us start where Ai Weiwei started, in Beijing, China, 1976. Ai Weiwei was born in a very hard time in China. It was a year before the Chinese Cultural Revolution. His father was a famous poet named Ai Ching. And in 1956 to 1959, the Chinese government launched a campaign called the 100 Flowers Campaign, which encouraged Chinese artists to show their art. Ai Weiwei's father, Ai Ching, participated in this, but then the Chinese government shut down this campaign, and Ai Weiwei's father was put to prison for 3 years, and then his whole family was sent to and exiled for 16 years in Xinjiang, a province in China. Finally, the family was released at Mao's death in 1976 and then moved back to Beijing. Ai Weiwei went to Beijing Film Academy, and then in 1983 he came to America. He came to the US and he came to SF very briefly, and then he went to New York for Film Academy, and then he returned to China. Ai Weiwei was, like, his big claim to fame was when he designed the Olympic building in Beijing for the 2008 Olympic thing. He called his design the bird's nest, and it's because it really looks like a bird's nest. I'm sorry I don't have my billboard with all the pictures on it, but I did have a picture of it, and it was pretty cool, I have to say. In 2008, there was also an earthquake in China, and the government was covering up the extent of the damage because of their poor construction and infrastructure. So Ai Weiwei gathered information from different people. He posted a blog on his website, and because there were so many schools that had been destroyed by this earthquake, but no one knew the extent of the damage and how many children had been killed. So he posted on his blog, and over 1,000 children were killed during this earthquake, which no one knew. So he did an art piece where he had a blue backpack for every boy and a pink backpack for every girl. And it was such a powerful art piece and really informative too, because no one knew that so many people were killed. In 2011, Ai Weiwei disappeared for 81 days. And later everyone found out that he was arrested, but he really disappeared off the map. For 81 days, he normally had a social media and he didn't respond to that or anything like that. So that was a big surprise in his life. After that, he was placed under house arrest in China. And while he was under house arrest, he really wanted to keep showing his art. So he did a exhibit on Alcatraz, right, in Orbay. And this Alcatraz exhibit was called At Large, and he did it with help of Cheryl Haynes. And this exhibit is huge. It's all through the Alcatraz prison. And there's a few exhibits that I really do want to talk about. I was never able to visit the exhibit, but I've heard that it was very, very interesting. So one of the exhibits that I want to talk about was, it was a kite made out of paper, and the head of the kite was a paper dragon. And this is really interesting because it was delicate and fearsome, because the dragon is a Chinese symbol of being really fierce, but paper is really delicate and weak. And it was really interesting because it shows how it's like a paper tiger, or its bite was a lot worse, and its bark was a lot worse than its bite. And behind the dragon, there were all these kites that had different quotes from different famous people who had gone against their government. And the second thing he did was he made Lego portraits of over 170 people who were in prison because they rebelled against their government. And he put a postcard next to all these people, or put many postcards, and anyone who visited this exhibit could write a postcard to these people. And so many people wrote postcards to these imprisoned activists that almost a third of them were released because of this amount of postcards that they were sent out. So it really shows how, even though you might think that art isn't very, doesn't do much, it actually really has a huge impact on many people's lives. And the last thing he did, just a funny fact in that, Lego stopped selling Ai Weiwei Legos, and I have a hunch that the Chinese government used their influence to stop that. The last exhibit that I want to talk about was Ai Weiwei made these porcelain flowers, like a huge bundle of porcelain flowers that he made really delicate in these old toilets and bathtubs and old sinks on Alcatraz. So it was showing how this beautiful art and beautiful things that are in China are supported by these old and crumbly and disgusting foundation in this. You can't show how beautiful or how influential you can be if you have this horrible backbone that holds you up. In 2015, Ai Weiwei went to Germany when he had a 3-year visa there, and he taught at Berlin's University of the Arts. Right now, Ai Weiwei lives with his wife in Beijing. There's an exhibit right now in LA, which is called Life Cycle. He actually did go there. He's not under a house arrest anymore. And it's still on, and it's going till March 3rd in 2019. So if you happen to be going to LA, I really strongly suggest that you do visit that. And I'm going to end my presentation with a fun fact and a final quote. So my fun fact is that you can't type Ai Weiwei's name on a Chinese computer without the whole entire sentence disappearing. And my final quote is from Ai Weiwei. Life is never guaranteed to be safe, so we better use it while we are still in good condition. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Whoa.